Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another masterclass. Today I've got a special treat for you and some amazing special guests. Today we're going to be talking about Stride CRM, which is a premium CRM for land investors. And I have two of its founders here with me today. I've got Seth and Mike with me today. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, Nicholas. Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for being here. Super pumped for this. Well, tell me a little bit. So you guys created this, for land investors. Now, Seth, you came up being a land investor and just sharing your experience. So if you will, tell us how what was the precipice of the Stride CRM being created and how did it all come up?
Yeah, of course. So, like you said, I've been in land investing for a long time. Mike has as well. Mike and I met each other at a conference, I want to say it was like 3-ish years ago. And he always struck me as a really smart guy. And I reached out to him about a year and a half ago. We decided to do some co-teaching together of an AI course. And through that, he had the brilliant idea of like, hey, Seth, there's kind of a gap in the marketplace when it comes to CRMs for land investors specifically. Like we're talking a single place where you can have pretty much everything and wipe out a lot of overpriced softwares you're paying for here and there. And we call it tech stack overload. And I was like, that's great, Mike. I have no idea how to do this though. Like I know how to help people with education and all that, but I'm not a software guy. And
Yeah.
he's like, well, I can do that and I'll figure that
Mhm.
out and let's work together. And
Wow.
so we spent many months and mostly on Mike's end, he put together a beautiful product. And I was kind of the guy with the insight and the knowledge of what most land investors are doing and how this model might differ from this model. And we have to make something that works for everybody. And we just collaborated and made something that has been pretty remarkable. It's saved me a ton of money and it's an awesome system to use. And that's what Stride is today.
I love that. I love that. So, you guys both had experience. You guys both closed land deals, right? Mike enjoys the technical lift, right? That's what you'd probably call that, which is great. I used to be, my journey is I used to be that more engineer brain. But now like it takes me, like I have to really change gears to get there. I can get there, but it's super hard. So I really love the team up. And then you're like, I know what I want. Or we know what we want. We just need someone that can swing the hammer, you know? Yeah, so it's really cool to do that. Well, Mike, and so Mike, tell me a little bit about you. So, you guys mentioned you were land investors. If you'll brag on yourself a little bit here, because it's important to know a lot of people. I just want to share, like, whether it's how many deals you've done or what kind of volume you do, just a little insight so they know what they're dealing with, right? Because I feel like people say they're land investors, but we kind of whitewash that out and we don't realize that it means 50 deals, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, working stuff. So it's like there's a lot that goes on. I know Mike and you and I have spoke about your operations, and they are extensive, right? Almost as extensive as what you guys created here. And so I just want to give them insight to, who you are and what you guys have done too.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Nicholas and Seth. Thank you for the kind words. I always say Seth is a horrible judge of character. I don't know why he partnered with me, but we're having a blast.
You seem like a great guy, Mike.
Yeah, I got into real estate when I was 19 years old, and I
How
actually
old are you
hired.
now? So
Yeah,
I didn't
now
know.
I'm 32. Yeah,
Okay.
good question. Yeah. 64 now. I've been in this space like 100 years. No,
Great skincare.
yes. But I got into real estate when I was 19, and I really got into becoming a real estate agent, buying single family homes, building up a small book of business, some small rental properties, things like that. But I also too was very fortunate that I hired a VA when I was 19, and I quickly became very good at hiring VAs. And this is when working from home was just absurd. This is before COVID times, this is before anything. Nobody's really heard of VAs. Nobody's heard from working from home. And I eventually had about 10 VAs calling expired and FSBO's list for me, just
Mhm.
to get listing appointments and then also to try to find my own rental properties. Then many years later, I was studying to underwrite large multifamily homes, and one of my VAs actually came to me and said, "Mike, why don't we buy and sell land?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're out of your mind. Like this is not a sustainable business model." And it just so happened a land deal fell into my lap. I bought it. We turned around and sold it. Ended up making six figures on it. And my VA is like, "No, this can be done. Like let's do this." And we went through a program together, learned all about it. That was 5 years ago. Started peddling out mailers like crazy. Then switched into texting. Was one of the early adopters of texting. I mean, this is like 4 years ago now. I started texting. I haven't sent out a mailer in about 3.5 years now. Quickly grew a team to around 13, 14, 15 people. And I was really big on just hiring rock stars and building great systems. When ChatGPT first came out, a great call I had with one of my texters is, look, one of two things is going to happen in the next 6 months. Either A, AI is going to take your spot, or B, you're going to tell me what AI models to be using. You're going to learn how to implement it and help grow our outreach program from there.
Yeah.
And she crushed it on that, crushed it on everything. And we were just big on building Google App scripts, different ways. And something Seth and I talked about a lot, and we really got to know each other so well teaching AI programs together, is there's just so many outside softwares. We're just, pigeonholing together, using Zapier to connect all the dots. Now we have to learn about APIs, all these other integrations. Why can't all this be in one place and at a better price too? Because I know just my software cost was thousands of dollars a month with all the outside integrations we were having to plug in. And what's weird is when you start teaching the AI space, like software doesn't have to be this expensive. Like, why am I getting punished for adding more team members?
Right.
It's like so hard. I'm like, it's like I get disciplined because I'm growing, because I'm scaling.
Yeah.
So we got together and I created something crazy robust that Seth said, Mike, this is way too much. And he was definitely the voice of reason. So then we scaled it back and it's like, okay, maybe not enough. And then we think now we finally land on that place that's just right, built in a lot of other integrations into it. And we're all in just passing on the savings to our customers and really creating the best CRM out there and make it easy for us, because I still run a full-time land operation myself.
Right.
Seth is still working with investors all the time. We sometimes fund deals. So at this point, dude, probably have done over 200 deals, fund a handful of deals, teach other investors. I know Seth does as well.
200 deals.
And yeah.
And I think anyone watching this can understand, what they're, how 5 felt, right? How 10 felt, right? And I think you can even tell by talking to Mike and Seth or listening to them that, the experience they have, the confidence, the calmness, like it's so natural. I can tell you guys have been doing it a while. And I also just want to speak to a tech stack real quick. Now, to those who don't know what that means, my company, for example, I used to have an external texting software. I had a CRM that only sent emails and tracked purchases. That was it. $800 a month. And every time I added users or more people to it, I couldn't believe it. I got up to $1,100 a month. I was like, I got to change something. You're not offering me enough. My employees, you guys often talked about overhead and the cost of those systems. Let me remind everyone of a different cost. How about the bandwidth cost? When you're switching tabs, my employees, we used to use 8 softwares in our business. I just counted yesterday, we only use 3 now. We had to connect everything. I've done the same exact thing you guys have done, okay? I've compressed my tech stack down. Not only does it save money, but we can now expect more out of our team because we're not asking them to go to this website and this website and this website, and we're also not paying their subscription. So guys, when they say tech stack, what we're talking about is all the software we use in our business to accomplish our goals, okay? And we can, in the beginning, hey, we've got one, we got Land Portal, we got a CRM, but in the end, we have a phone system, we have an email strategy, we have Facebook ads, we're doing everything elsewhere. And so compressing all of those, all of our customer service, our customer interactions, all into one is really a game changer. Trust me, before I got on the phone with you guys, I was just bragging to somebody about all under the same roof websites. Okay, I know your guys' Stride software is amazing. It has so much under one roof, so much that I bet you tell some people to ignore some pieces if they're new. Like, hey, focus on this is where you make money. This is where you get nerdy, right? And they both have a time and a place, But I'd love to go into that now. Why don't you tell us, some of the key features that really separate this from everybody else?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Mike.
No, go for it, Seth. Lead the charge, please.
Yeah. Well, you kind of hit on something kind of important there, Nicholas. Just talking about paying a lot of stuff for disjointed software that's all over the place. I know before I started using Stride, a single software that I was using just to send emails out, I was paying over $300 a month for it. And Stride is less than that, and it does like dozens of other things. And I think, especially over the past couple of years, as in some ways the business has gotten harder, things have gotten tighter, sales are harder to come by. A lot of us are looking for ways to spend less money on stuff that's not really necessary. And when things were great and where sales were easy, it was easy to just get lazy and not even think about that because money was flowing and everything was fine. But this is like probably one of the most easy and obvious, in my opinion, ways to cut unnecessary expenses. And once you do it, and once you realize like, wow, I can do everything I used to do and a lot more for less money, it's a very freeing feeling. I love it. It's kind of just like cutting dead weight off when you get to bring it all into one place and not just paying less, but also just having like fewer things you have to log into and fewer tabs open all over the place. And in a lot of ways, you don't even need things like Zapier anymore because all the stuff that needs to communicate with each other is right there in one spot. In terms of like some of the key features, so it kind of depends on, the business owner or what exactly they're doing, what their strategy in land is. But just like for myself, like the thing that I'm using the most often is probably the phone, which has, you can turn on automatic recording and transcriptions, the ability to manage contacts and create smart lists and then sort them based on tags or literally any attribute that they all have in common. We're working on direct mail that's coming later this quarter. The opportunities deal board, just be able to track one deal from one stage to the next. And there's lots of automations that we actually pre-built. They're totally optional. You don't have to use them, but if you want to, and if you want to have automatic follow-up, there's tons of them to choose from, and you can either turn them on or you can edit them to your liking. So you can follow up in the way that you want to follow up with. But the important thing is like that ability is there. Whereas for many people, they just can't do it if they don't have something like Stride in place.
Yeah, well, I love the transcript thing. I mean, that's actually blowing. And guys, call recordings, they're so important, right? Especially of people working for us. If we're solopreneurs, call recordings so important because you probably didn't take good notes, okay? But, when you have people working for you, a big piece is accountability, okay? And just making sure, hey, I didn't, we're talking about making $10,000 to $50,000 here, we got to make sure our acquisition managers are saying the words, okay? And or that they know the words, right? Let's just say, hey, they might not even be not following the script. Maybe they don't know what but the recordings and the transcripts, I think that's a big deal. And then using transcripts with AI. Now, that's the beauty of a transcript. Transcript used to just mean written words. Now it means, wait, I can put this into AI and AI sees it as a conversation. The AI will pretend like it's there. So, asking for feedback and that too. And another piece I'll share, you talked about the opportunity deal board. This is where you guys manage your leads. Okay. I spoke to a client today, met with them. He got 42 leads for us. I'm like, how's it going? You got a CRM? I don't have a CRM. What? See, there's no way you're managing 42 leads if you don't have a CRM. I mean, you can probably handle 5. I'll give everyone that. You have 5 leads, no CRM, you're good. Okay. But when you hit over that, the intricacies of each lead, the names, the addresses, the conversations, what I tell every single one of my clients is you have to be organized and you have to take action. Okay. And these leads that you speak to, I joke and I say, pretend like you're on a game show and they're dying for a reason to hang up on you. Okay. You can have the time to have handwritten notes and confuse a lead with another one, right? And so I just want to share for those watching how really important this is. Look, you don't have a CRM, fine. 5 leads or less. That's it. Respect that you're going to need to give these leads the focus they deserve. You're going to need their notes and you're going to need to know where they're at in the process, right? And I think that's one of the cool things about the opportunities board. Would you guys mind doing a little screen share and kind of bringing some of these things to life so they heard it? Now if they can get a little sneak peek on what it actually looks like inside of Stride.
Absolutely. Let's dive into it. So we've been talking a lot about the deal board. So let's dive in there to begin with.
Love that.
At any time, if I'm going too fast, Nick, start yelling at me because I totally geek out on all this stuff. So feel free to put me in check, man.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right. I know something here. So we have a deal board. This is just an easy way to start tracking everything going on. I know it's just where are they? Hot lead, warm lead, cool lead. And then what's cool is we actually have a lot of automations baked in on the back end of this. So I know you're going to talk about this later, Nick, because I know we've been working with your team on implementing something great, especially with the deal board. So I won't dive into this too much, save you some secret sauce there.
Yeah.
But what's nice is depending on where contacts are within this deal board, can also start triggering some automations. So we talk a lot about having a team, looking at transcripts, making sure our team's handling things well. But what about having a team member that never fails? Like that's also something we're very huge about.
Right.
That team member that never goes on holidays, isn't sick, doesn't take restroom breaks. So that's where we have a lot of workflows actually built in. Like here's one that I'm showing off. This is just a not interested right now drip campaign. And this will actually run somebody through this for about a month. And then this one's set up with RVMs, SMS, emails, and the amount of workflows we have baked into here, whether someone's not interested, whether they're in our leads pipeline, due diligence, acquisition, it just goes on and on. It's actually interesting. People often talk about us. Nick, better than anyone else, like speed to lead is everything.
Yeah.
One thing we're constantly talking to people about is send them a contract right away. Like as soon as you can, send somebody a contract. So here we're actually in a contact. We're actually in yours, Nicholas. So
Hey.
thanks for making our CRM. Yeah. Oh, over here too, this is just some basic information on Nicholas, his property. Everyone watching this is not actually his contact information. So don't blow him up. Check out his amazing website. But what's really nice on here is, let's say him and I have been negotiating back and forth. We're on the phone and he just agreed to sell his property for $150,000. I can just come in here, press send contract now, save that. As long as my automation is published, everything's going on the way that it should be going, then right away you see this just pop up here. It literally just shot him a text message to follow up on this and a nice little email. It's like, hey, we just sent you a contract, check it out. And then Nick can actually click right on it and then sign it right from here. It becomes that easy. Like when you talk about speed to lead, how better to just be like, hey, by the way, okay, 150 will work, great. Hey, I just got this approved. I know we just sent it to you. Can you make sure it's not in your spam? Okay, great. I just want to open it up, walk you through it real quick in case you have any questions, and then just get them to sign live there on the spot. I mean, you know better than anyone else, Nicholas, like how powerful is that when working with customers?
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you, this is actually exactly what I teach people to do. One of the strategies, and I have a course that's free that's all about how to convert leads. And one of my strategies is, we want to get the contract into their hands and walk them through it, right? We want to be present with them. And I think sending it with ease like that is so important. A lot of us, might not even be using a digital sign software. If we do, we might have to be mapping each individual field every time. I could already tell by what you showed me there. You pre-fill some information and it automatically posts into the contract, right? And that's really just a level of service that, a lot of people aren't getting, because the other piece is this is what I teach. We want to try to simulate an in-person close as much as humanly possible. If someone is door knocking and they're selling you solar, they're not sending you a contract, right? They're at the dinner table. What do you think? Take your time, read it. There's support and pressure, and that's all why people say they love door to door, because when someone does say yes, it does work out better. So what I say is we want to duplicate that door-to-door vibe, that in-person closing vibe as much as possible. And then the speed you're able to generate that allows us to do that, right? So to have that queued up and have it ready, well, hey, I've got one I already filled out. Let them know the seller doesn't need to know how easy this was to do. Hey, just so you know, I spent about 15 minutes and I filled this out. I'm updating the purchase price right now. All right, I'm gonna get this over to you. If you want, just let me know whenever you have it. Okay, I'd love to walk you through this. Question I like to help ease them into me covering the contract, because they're going to try to use the contract as an excuse to get off the phone. Now, okay, well, I'll review this and I'll call you later, okay? And it's like, well, actually, have you ever sold a piece of land before? No, I haven't. Well, great. Well, hey, I'm a very transparent person. And as a service, I would love to just cover some of the fundamentals of the contract with you. And then if you have any questions, you could ask me right now. You can still review it, but we use, because most likely these people aren't selling tons of pieces of land before in their life. So we're using that. Whether they say yes or no to that question, we still say, well, look, I'm very transparent and I'd like to walk you through it if that's okay with you, just while I got you. Right. So we really try to ease our way into that. But anyways, I love that because that fully supports my process. And I don't even give my clients a current solution to that. I just tell them to send it eSign. So it's cool that, again, it's built in. Guys, eSign, DocuSign, if anyone's using that, I think that's $49 a month for DocuSign last time I signed up for it, and that was 2 years ago. Okay, so it's like to think about what Seth was saying earlier, to compress all of these into one is really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can we geek out on a few other cool things?
Yeah, please. Please. Yeah. And actually, I wanted you to show something else. Go, if you will, just real quick, go back to that opportunity board where it says lead. I think I like what you guys have done there. You've created separate boards from leads to acquisitions. Is that kind of what we're getting? I just wanted to give them a little sneak peek into kind of, what you guys have kind of done there.
Absolutely.
And I like it because I can already tell the system is set up for micro goals, right? And I think that's very important for people to work leads like that. But go ahead, walk us through your processes real quick on this.
Yeah. So we have a lot of automations on the back end baked into these. Even after you send a contract, if they don't sign within day one, they're getting follow-ups on that. Right? We kind of look at it. So one thing, like Stride complements Lead Mining Pros so well, because Lead Mining Pros is all about the outreach. Get a lead, get a hot lead. Now, once that lead comes in, how do you really handle it? And that's where your CRM really comes into play. This is managing all those big leads going on. So whether they're new leads, whether you're actually in the acquisition process of it, negotiating with them, counter offers, whether you need to get more information from them or your team needs to figure it out. Was the contract signed? Could we not agree on a number? We have things baked in. So right when they come into this tab, it automatically triggers some automations for them just to remind them. I mean, I hear you all the time, Nicholas, constantly say like the fortune's in the follow-up, and that could not be closer to the truth. So we want to make sure we have so many things baked in here so we can easily keep track of all our leads, where they are in our processes, and then also automatically start triggering some of these automations on it. So that's how we love to do it, to really handle the acquisition and disposition side. As we show this to people, a question we often get is, wow, this is great. This looks complex. So a couple of things there is Seth and I have gone through, we have a huge training material on everything that's covered within the CRM. We also, too, though, something that especially Seth is so passionate about is our customers have to have a great experience. If they're not having a great experience, we don't have a product we can even present. So we made sure now we have 24/7 support. Anytime something's going on, you can submit a ticket right here. You can chat with support, whatever you need to do, just let them know what's going on. And right now, our average queue time is 72 seconds. So if it's a Sunday, you're working at 5 a.m., it's nothing drove me more crazy than when I was in my previous CRM and then I couldn't get a contract out. Something was wrong. Something was broken. I email support and they immediately email me back saying, this is your ticket number. We'll get back to it on Monday. We're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I'm like, no. So we were huge on making sure you can always talk to support. You can view our knowledge base, view our help docs. I mean, heck, we even have a launch pad that just starts getting everybody rocking and rolling on everything to really walk you through exactly what is that onboarding journey? How do you bring your phone numbers over?
Yes.
How do you join the community? If you need more help, what's going on? This is Luciana, one of our customer success managers. She's amazing. You get free onboarding with us. You get a dedicated CSM. You get 24/7 support. You get a way to earn money in the system. We even have Stride Skip in here, save 40% on skip tracing if you want to. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So many things we offer in here. And then for some of your customers coming over too, they might be caring about like, what do my KPIs look like? Is my team doing well? Oh, we have great dashboards to track that. We have call reporting to track it. How's your team actually doing? How many appointments have they actually gotten? All these things are just baked into the system to make it easy. And the latest thing we actually just released was project management. Something we saw a lot of people having issues with is they'd have a great CRM, but CRMs are really set up for just moving the contact through the stage. But what if you're working on a subdivide? What if you need to redo your LLC docs? What if you're working on AI agents? What about these projects we have in our business that we don't really talk about much at the masterminds? We don't talk about we need to film all these SOP videos for our team. Well, we built out a project management tab in here. That's pretty cool. Your team can start coming in here. You can actually start tracking how much time your team takes to do certain files, write activities on it. And all of this too is connected right to the contacts. Let's say that one's done, this one's done. We actually have procedures in here. So when these two finish, it'll start to auto-populate next things that need to get done there. So we really try to do everything we can to make it that easy to just show exactly what needs to happen, what's going on, how do you want to view it, and really try to make an all-in-one CRM, which we're very happy about.
Yeah, this is really cool. I pay Monday.com $100 a month right now to be my project management software, and one thing I'll say about project management is it takes a little bit to sometimes create that habit, but man, I am like full bore into it. But if you guys think that's another $100, because that's what you have to look at, whenever you're looking at, like we were just talking about, if you're already using it, right? Let's say you have CallRail, and let's say you have, I spoke to a guy yesterday. He has HubSpot. Said he's paying $700 a month for a CRM, and there's not even a phone system built in. Okay, you didn't cover that yet, but I know that this has a built-in. If you will just do a little screen share. There's like a conversation and show them, the built-in phone system that this has. I was recently paying phone.com $80 a month just for 2 phone lines. Okay, so we have project management, $100 a month, phone.com, $80 a month for 2 phone lines. Before you know it, we're not even closing deals yet or managing leads, and I'm saving. And I think that's something that's really important if you already have these tools. If you don't have them, you're going to need them soon, eventually, especially if you plan on sticking around. But I just wanted to point that out because these are recent things I've dealt with. When that guy told me he was paying $700 a month for HubSpot, and that's not even built for real estate investors. That's just a universal CRM that has to be customized to your needs.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's huge. We have a phone system baked in. This is my account here that I pulled up for it, so don't call these numbers, please. We have way too many.
You're gonna get followed up with like crazy if you call one of these numbers.
I know, yeah. Anybody listening to this, if you have land for sale, you're looking for sell at 40 to 70% of market value, call any of these numbers. We will follow up with you within 24 hours.
I love it.
But I think it's huge just having this in here. Our support team will get you through the A2P process, the 10 DLC, all that good stuff. But we can start baking in call scripts in here, set up how you want your voicemails to be, your call recording, your transcripts. The things you can do in the system, it really becomes an all-in-one system to handle anything you want to. So, we have some people too that are coders. So a lot of people see this on my account. They're like, how did you do this? Yeah. Seth is so big in the AI space. He's so big on just teaching people as much as we can. I know he recently released a YouTube video on how to code your own websites, and you can do that in Stride as well. You can write code with Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, and then just use it as your website if you want to, or we have pre-built templates you can use, or we have an easy drag and drop software. But even after watching Seth's video, I'm like, I want to present a website like core values of what our team does. And this is something I created just after watching Seth's video in there. And this is my own team's core values that we use. And I was able to just put it on our own dashboard to make it just that easy. So the things you can customize in here and really make them your own, it's pretty surreal, to be honest with you. And we just absolutely love it to death.
Yeah, this is huge. I think you guys have really done a great job tying all that together. I mean, that last piece is like morale, teamwork. Anyone who has a team totally gets this, right? And honestly, I'd even wager to say my CRM's more for my team than it is for me. You know, I'm here to manage it through the dashboard. Okay. And I'm here to manage it through their actions, and they're actually the ones functioning in it every day. This is why having everything all in one place is so important. Like I mentioned earlier, my tech stack was 8 different websites, all these different logins. We had to have a spreadsheet just to manage the logins for the websites. I mean, it was crazy. And then some of these things make you force a password change every 3 months. So then that alone was just absolutely maddening. And then things getting simpler. We can only do more. This is a very important lesson. I made like $1.5 million last year. And my most important lesson is we can only do more with systems. Okay. We only have 2 arms. We only have one brain. Like we can only do so much with this. We have to have systems if you truly want to go further. Seth, I believe you were talking about peace of mind that this gives you, and I call it sleeping easy. And so I just had a fresh talk about great CRMs recently, and yours came up, and I was talking about this, and I was like, I call it sleeping easy at night, because if everything is a manual function, it means not only did I or someone have to do it, but now I have to make sure that they did it. And I have to make sure that they did it right. And I don't sleep easy. I will literally wake up, if I'm not automated, I will wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh, did I send that? Did I, and that is a crappy feeling. So I call it, I can sleep in easy. Okay. And having these systems just really allows you, guys. I just wanted to drive that point home because I'm literally in the middle of experiencing this myself, going from my old one to where I'm at now. Okay, so quick question: is there anything that this can't do?
Yeah, absolutely. It can't do everything your team does so amazingly. Yeah. It can't print money yet. It doesn't do my taxes, unfortunately. I really wish it would. I still got to get out of bed and get dressed every day. But I mean, Seth, you want to touch on a few things this can't do?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way Strat is currently set up, it's really meant to manage the pipeline that gets filled by lead mining pros. So it's not set up to be like the outward facing marketing engine. We're working on direct mail right now, so that's coming. But in terms of like the system that pulls the data and sends out the marketing and all that stuff, to date, this is basically meant to manage the pipeline once it gets filled. So think of anything that has to do with managing existing deals, sending contracts, following up with people, keeping track of things, calling people back, all this. That's really what Stride is. And, once you've done more than a handful of deals, you probably know there's only so much you can do with spreadsheets before it just turns into absolute chaos. And buying more software can kind of help, but as we talked about before, that can get a little chaotic and expensive too. So it's really the best way we could come up with to manage your existing pipeline.
I love that. So you guys are right after the lead is generated, right? And I love that distinction. There's some CRMs out there that promote, guys, I'm not a big fan of getting a CRM and then having it do your lead generation. Those are two totally different businesses, and people don't realize that yet. Okay. I've had customers come to me all the time and they go, hey, Nick, I'm doing texting in house, but I'm not closing any deals. Could you explain to me why that's happening? And I say, yes, you're spending so much time trying to generate leads. You are not spending time trying to close deals. We have to admit that we only have so much bandwidth. Okay. And people that have had cold, I get the calls. Most of my clients had cold callers, and they go, Nick, this is a full-time job, man. I can't, I don't want to run 2 businesses, Nick. I don't want to run a lead generation business and a lead conversion business. And I think this is, the Achilles heel of real estate investors is they try to put everything in house. They try to do everything under the sun themselves. So I love that you guys. First of all, I was not expecting that answer on what can it do. That was a brilliant response. But it is so true about staying in your lane. We are premier from lead to closing. Okay. And I think that's smart.
Yeah, I think there are, I've heard different analogies on this. There are some things that make a lot of sense to combine, especially when you have like a CRM like Stride that combines things that kind of need to communicate with each other. Like a contract to a contact, the opportunity, like these things make sense to combine. But there are other things where it's like, kind of like you were saying, Nicholas, it's just, I think of it sort of like a futon, where it's like it can be a bed and it can be a couch, but it's not really great at either one of them. So it's like get something that's meant to be a bed and something that's meant to be a couch, or a Swiss Army knife. Like it can kind of do things, but if you want like a serious tool, you don't see builders out there building houses with Swiss Army knives. Like they've got actual tools meant for that job. So you kind of have to just distinguish when does it make sense to actually split things apart. And I think that's one solid example.
Yeah, and just to piggyback that, so in my CR in anyone's CRM that they're working in, they don't want it cluttered up. Either way, my brain work is if I start ignoring things, that's gonna. So let's say I have 10,000 records in my CRM. That's never gonna serve me. That's actually gonna teach me to ignore the actual 20 records that I'm trying to close, right? That's a perfect. And if you're doing lead gen, people send us lists of 10, 20, 30,000 records, right? Those records should not hit your CRM. Okay. Those records should live in my role. When I generate a lead, then it goes into your CRM. What I think people have a bad habit of doing is they think collecting data is closing deals. Oh, well, I've got all these lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, now what? Right? And so it's like get out of collecting the data piece and get into collecting leads. I really like that. Have us do the texting for you, do the calls for you. It's going to be done at a professional level. Okay. And then you can focus on what's important to you. And let me tell you, in my course, I focus on this. The truth is, your part is very hard. Calling leads, getting them under contract, building a relationship, that's not easy. Okay. Don't overwhelm yourself by training Filipino VAs, expensive outreach softwares, and learning all the lessons I've already learned over the last 9 years. I had a client call me up once and he goes, Nick, I'm doing it on my own. I'm getting no results. I don't know what's going on. Well, where are you getting the list from? Some guy off Fiverr. Okay. What kind of list are you pulling? Owner occupied. Okay. Well, are you calling from a local number? No. Okay. How many phone numbers are you buying? One. And so it's like, it was just so ironic. And I said, brother, I really had to break it to you, but you've almost done every step wrong. And it's not that you're doing it wrong. It's that you don't have the experience. You don't have the feedback. And guys, everything I just said is true. To create these systems and operations, we got to be calling from local numbers. We got to have employees that follow scripts. We got to have in those scripts rebuttals for the employees to use. So when someone says wrong number or they're not interested, that we convert it into a lead again. Then we have to make sure that employee is following that script. And I'll tell you, that's actually the hard part. I've learned over the years, we all want to be a leader, but accountability is really the most important piece of that. So don't mess with all of that. There's no need to take that on because the truth is what comes next after the lead, your hands are about to be full. Due diligence, online research, rapport building, getting the property under contract, all those things is not as easy, as we want to pretend it is. So stay in your lane. Hey, you want to close 100 deals and build your in-house team like Mike did? Dude, that makes perfect sense, right? But starting too early, you're going to be clunky and it's going to feel like hard mode. So I think that's awesome. And then, we'll segue right into, how we work together, which that's basically what this is. We are partnering with Stride. Okay. We have a direct integration to get our leads directly into their CRM. All right. We are going to give them our exact opportunity board that I covered in one of my courses that all my clients have. But I'll be honest with you guys, I really like the system they just showed us. Okay. I like what you guys did there. It's very simple. It's very clean. But when clients use us, they will have the opportunity to follow the system I teach in my course or use theirs. So you will have both to pick from. Okay. And It's really going to serve your needs. Working these leads is the most important thing. I tell all my clients, double dial every lead. If they don't answer, we leave a voicemail and we text message. Okay, we want to make sure that we are being, I call it being relentless and tenacious. To me, relentless is a physical, like call, like, hey, you're not bothering them. You know what a good rule of thumb is? The harder they are to get on the phone, the more they need you to follow up. We've all been there. We've all called that lead 10 times and we think they're going to chew our ass out. And at the end, they go, thank you so much for calling me. I know I'm difficult to get a hold of. And I can't tell you how many, and as soon as someone says that to you, the switch flips and you're like, follow up is for them. I think I'm following up for me and they need me to follow up. Okay. And another good thing about someone who's difficult to get a hold of is I bet all the other investors quit sooner. That's the other way to look at it. They're difficult for everyone to get a hold of. So if you ever come across leads like that, lean in. Don't lean out. But yeah, so I think that's an awesome team up that we've got going on. When you guys adding direct mail, that is going to be huge. Okay, because one of the strategies I teach is have us call and text first, and then if those results are good, then we mail. Direct mail is a little expensive, so I always tell people instead of just blindly mailing, texting is so much cheaper. I think you alluded to that, Mike. You're like, I've got a whole texting operation. Texting is so much cheaper. I think texting is the new direct mail, except it's even better because it's right in their pocket. No one's mailbox is in their pocket. Okay, so it's a really big gift. So pairing those two things up is awesome. Okay, so how long, if we were to go with you guys, how long does it take to get set up and running? I sign up today. What does that look like?
Yeah. So a lot of people are kind of surprised how fast this goes. So the moment you sign up, you get instant access to Stride. You can fill out this short onboarding questionnaire so we kind of understand your setup and your team size and how you're currently operating and what the pipeline looks like, all that good stuff. And from right there, you can book your onboarding call and you can start moving leads in pretty much right away. And we've got tutorials throughout, so you can watch those at your own pace, but we can fill in all the gaps with the onboarding calls that we provide too. So you can start moving pretty quick.
Yeah, I love that. And I saw that you have the number porting in there too. I
Yep.
thought that's very wise. I
Yeah.
just ported my phone numbers over. Remember, I said I was paying $80 a month for phone.com. Okay, I recently took all my phone numbers out of phone.com as well. So I think that that's really wise. So guys, think about when we're porting, that means we're cutting down expenses. That's another way to look at that. And then you guys walk them, and just so everyone knows what porting a number means. Sorry, I know we've all been doing this a long time, but it's when you have a phone number through anyone else. It's actually legally, you can take that number and put it anywhere else. You just have to connect the two. There's a couple of intricacies, but any number you have, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, or another VoIP service like phone.com or CallRail, you can take that number. If you cancel that, you don't have to lose that number. So porting is holding on to your brand, holding on to your number, and they can actually bring that into Stride for you and they walk you through it
Yeah,
as well.
that's a great point. I'm glad you mentioned that, Nicholas. Porting a number, like, I don't know if it's by design, but it can be such a pain because the person losing the number, I don't know if they just like don't want to make it easy for you, but they're can be slow to respond and hide the information you need. But that's a big thing we recognized, and that's why we've got a lot of support. We've bent over backwards and we spend a lot of money to get the best support we possibly can because we know how time consuming and just a mental headache it can be to either choose a new CRM or switch CRMs, including porting the phone number. So this is a big thing that we went out of our way to try to make this as easy as possible. And for that matter, like if you ever want to buy a new number, sometimes that's just the easy thing. That's like almost free. It's like $1.15 to buy a new number, and you can buy as many as you need, even if it's transitional or a permanent thing. So there's that option too.
That's huge. So $1.50 per month, and I guess I was paying $80 a month to phone.com for two, right? And so, guys, think of the weighing out there. Yeah, and that's the thing I think why we're a good pairing. We're both kind of done for you ish, right? So it's like even lead mining is it's done for you lead gen, done with you contracts is kind of like how I like to word it. Like all my clients can call me, meet with me, I'll help them work leads, get them under contract, right? And so you guys have that same option. It is done with you CRM, but hit up chat and any obstacles, worst case, we'll just get it done for you, or we'll do it along with you. And I think, guys, that level of service is really important. This is why I only team up with people with similar levels of service to me. I know I spoil my customers. I have courses, scripts, a Facebook group, but everyone gets my cell phone number. And it can be annoying if I refer you out somewhere that has poor service, right? That's not my brand. So I'm really big on you getting the support you need. Because the other thing is, if I refer people out and they have a problem, they're just going to call me. And no offense, I don't want them to call me either, right? I want them to be able to get the customer service from where they're getting it from. Working with people who have a great reputation, like Seth and Mike do, okay? Working with people that have the same level of service that we do, it is really, really important to me. What I'd like to do is first I want to tell you guys how to get this. So if you go to leadminingpros.com/stride, okay, it's going to bring you directly to the homepage. I'm actually going to do a screen share here for everyone. I'll show you guys exactly what this looks like. All right, that's going to load up this page for you guys. And then do one of you guys want to kind of walk them through this process here real quick? What this looks like and the offer with lead mining?
Sure. You want to hit that mic, or want me to hit the
You go for it. Everybody
Sure.
loves your voice, Seth. You got that podcaster voice, man. I released one podcast episode. It got -2 views. Like, I don't even know how you get negative when it's happening.
I am banned from YouTube.
Yeah. So the whole idea here with this affiliate link is to basically just make it highly incentivized, not just because this works seamlessly with Lead Mining Pros, but you can also get a nice discount. So we've got a monthly option and an annual option. The monthly option, you'll save $50 a month forever off the normal price of Stride. In the annual option, it's a similar thing, but you get 2 additional months off just because you're doing the annual thing and committing to that on a yearly basis. So, but after that, it's the same process. You just fill out your billing info and select whichever plan you want. And the next page after you sign up will be the onboarding form where you can provide your business information and details and fill out the, find a time to do your first onboarding call. And you can start using Stride like within a matter of minutes. And once the onboarding call happens, that's when you can, fill in the gaps, answer your questions, and make sure that you're able to use it to its full extent.
I love that. And then just hit up support if you have any questions, right? And I think that's awesome. I love even my employees now, when they used to have questions, right? And again, I do have 30, so I have a headache. But they would all come to me. And now I'm like, just please use the support. Like, I don't know. I'm just going to have to go to the support. So, guys, there's so much at your fingertips. There's so many solutions. And that's again, CRMs are really for employees at the end of the day. Now, you might not have any yet, but ideally your acquisition managers is what's living in here. You're just listening to call recordings and checking KPIs. Right. And so, hey, I can't find this record. Hey, will you hit up support? Hey, will you do? I mean, think about how much time that saves us as operators. Okay. So, guys, that live support, utilize it. They're paying for it. You might as well get all the usage you can. You're not bothering anyone. That person is being paid to serve you. Do not forget. Same as me. A lot of customers tell me, well, Nick, I don't want to call you and bother you. I say, if you've paid me, you've earned it. Okay. They always laugh because they forget. Hey, you have earned it. You've earned to ask for support. So feel free to do it. But guys, that is leadminingpros.com/stride. If you guys want to take your land business to the next level, the automatic contracts are huge. The transcribed calls. Imagine going in here, listening to the call, taking the transcript, throwing it into AI and asking it to critique it. I mean, I just made that up. But that is totally possible. I mean, we have so much power at our fingertips here. I'm honestly I actually haven't seen too much of this before today. A lot of my shock is real. Like I'm impressed. That contract was very easy. I've seen other integrated contract sending, and it's even more daunting than that. So I think one thing I liked is it feels frictionless, and you could tell that this was made by people who are using it, right? Is really important. All right, so is there any words of wisdom you guys want to leave us with before we get out of here?
Yeah. 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 So I guess what I would just leave people with, closing thoughts, is as a lot of us know, the land investing space is getting more competitive. Margins are tighter and sellers are more savvy and all that. And a lot of the people that win right now are winning because they've got the best systems. The ones who follow up faster and they look professional and never let a motivated seller walk because something falls through the cracks. That's kind of what it takes to rise above the rest of the pack and actually get somewhere right now. So, not saying that it's impossible to survive without a great system, but man, it sure does help to have something that manages your employees and your deals and stuff isn't scattered all over internet trying to find things. So it's a compelling time and a compelling reason to consider something like this.
Yeah, I love what you said there, because we we forget that this is all about the seller having a great experience. We often forget that. We think it's about us having a great experience. This is the most common mistake all investors make, in my opinion. And when we think about our experience, I think of it like the Looney Tunes cartoons where they see like the steak in the eyes and they think they can go. It's like that's you thinking about our desires, right? And what you just reminded us of is these systems equal professionalism. Professionalism equals reputation. Reputation equals more closed deals, right? And take it, guys. I'm a efficiency monster when it comes to my customers. I mean, you get texts from me, my employees reach out. I know it's all about your experience. When people hire lead mining, I know it's about my investors having a great experience. And then it's your job as the investor to make your sellers have a great experience. And that needs to trickle down. And that's what systems do for you. I don't know if you know that you just said that super ninja tip, but that is so important because being professional and standing out and being consistent is what is going to be the difference in your land business. And for that $50 off for $250 a month to get that edge, I mean, if you honestly just used 4 of your 30 features, you are saving that in additional softwares. But on top of that is the polished approach you'll have with the leads, which is really cool. I actually never thought of that before. Is the professionalism that comes from. Sometimes we think systems. I think, oh, thank God I don't have to be as busy, or oh, I have more bandwidth. But I forget I show up better and more consistently, simultaneously as well. Very cool.
Absolutely. No, Nicholas, thank you for this. It's really been great. And what you're talking about there with building trust, it's huge. We forget that all the time. We have a system like Calendly built in. So you book an appointment with a seller, it's going to remind the seller 24 hours before, an hour before, 10 minutes before. But it's also just that way to build trust with that seller. I reminded you when I was going to show up and I showed up at that time.
That's
and you
right.
might be thinking, but Mike, wait, what if my team doesn't show up on time? Great. You can also just edit the automation so it reminds your team an hour beforehand and 10 minutes beforehand to hop on that phone,
That's right.
build that trust. But thank you for this, Nicholas. And also thank you for being so generous. Also, people who are a part of Stride also do receive a discount with Lead Mining Pro. So we're trying just to pass the savings along as much as we can, especially when we have great tools that work together so well. So thank you for that offer, as part of our Stride perks with our community. And we really appreciate your time here, Nicholas. It's incredible the operation you're running. And we love seeing our users use your program and just get more deals done. Because I think the reality of all of it that a lot of people forget is we are only successful if you who is watching is successful.
Right.
Yeah. If nobody can get deals, nobody can get contracts signed, nobody makes money, then our software is pointless. Lead Mining Pros is pointless. Like we want you to succeed, more than anyone else. So
yeah, I said the same thing. We're fully aligned. I said the only person other than you that wants the next most person that wants you to succeed is me, because I want you to come back. I want more of this, right? And I think that's a part of our ownership is we're all aligned. All of our goals are aligned, right? This is not set and forget it. We want to keep wowing you. And guys, that being said, whether it's lead mining or them, we built our great systems off of feedback. Okay. Never hesitate to give feedback. We are all growing and learning. At Lead Mining, we've been open for 9 years. I think I have hopefully heard all the feedback by now. but it's what made us great, right? And I would recommend the same thing with your sellers. Give them warmth, give them security, give them the ability to talk to you if they do want you to show up. And Mike, you said something earlier. You said you were going to show up and you did. That's called integrity. Okay. So few people in my course, I focus on doing what we said we were going to do. You are literally better than 90% of the population if you simply do what you said you were going to do. You're already better than the competition. But guys, this has been huge. I feel like we've actually been hanging out. I got to learn a lot about you guys, and yeah, it really means a lot to me that we're starting this relationship. So thank you for coming. And guys, that's leadminingpros.com/stride. Check that out. You get a $50 a month discount, or if you go annual, it's a $500 a year discount. That's pretty damn awesome. But guys, have a good day, and we'll be seeing you soon. See you guys.
Thanks.